Hey, Thomas, how you doing?
I'm good.
Cool. Hey, thanks again for joining me again for this week's episode. This one, for the first, the last, the nerddom. We're going to be talking Punisher. We're going to be talking Punisher comic book mainly, and then it kind of grows from there. Maybe small screen, maybe big screen, maybe other things like that, and maybe a
hmm
few recommendations in between here. But boy, Thomas, I got to tell you, I was really excited and I had begged off from you to push the show a little bit longer because I wanted to really get in the groove of this because Punisher is one of my favorite Marvel characters. I didn't really read him so much when I was younger, but more later teen years, like when that appeal, the edginess and all that stuff and whatnot. And he's always been a favorite of mine. Well, we're definitely going to get into that for sure.
hmm
What why are we talking about Punisher? Because you actually brought it up and you were
hmm
go off from there, but I'll let you take it over from there and
yeah. There's a new series that just came out for the Punisher, and like you, I've always enjoyed the character. I didn't realize that you were such a big fan of it before recommending it, so I thought I was maybe going out on a limb, but evidently not. But yeah, it goes back to the '80s. There was I guess the Punisher was originally introduced in a Spider-Man comic book. I did not read that one, but there was a limited series, I think back in maybe the late '80s, by Mike Zeck. It was a four-issue series that I read it, and back in the day when I was young, no internet, no nothing. I was getting these comic books. I was like, man, should I even be reading these? I mean, this guy's like blowing away these people, and I love the cover, the first issue of that Mike Zeck series. And I apologize, I didn't give you the a link to maybe
that's
that
okay.
image, but it's like him with the Punisher backed up against a wall, shooting off both his guns at the enemies. And I remember I probably ruined that comic book. I probably still have that comic book, but I traced over that image just because I love that image, and I wanted
Mhm.
to kind of capture that in my own drawing of it. But obviously, that character had an impression on me. Uh, but if I was you know pushed in a corner, I'd say I love my superheroes. But yeah, this anti-hero, I guess a lot of the newer people would say Deadpool that they love. But yeah, with us older
Yeah,
generation, it's probably the Punisher.
yeah, Deadpool's cool. But before we had Deadpool and how he was widespread, we had the Punisher, and before the
Mhm.
Punisher, we had Batman. I mean,
Right.
those guys are
Yeah.
all kind of in the same arc. I'd say that
hmm
how I had a good way to put it. Punisher, and of course, Punisher is Marvel, and
hmm
Batman is DC. Just for the uninitiated out there. But aside from the basic facts there, I'd say Punisher is like what Batman would be in a minus the detective thing, and add quite a bit of edge and killer.
Yeah. Yeah, and actually, the creator of Punisher, and I should have done some research. I forget his name, but he says that he based the character off of Death Wish, and you
Okay.
can obviously sees the connection there.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I
Mhm.
that's God. That's a movie. Maybe that might be have to one that we might have to visit. Maybe if
Mhm.
we do a talking Punisher round two, because I know well, I know for sure we could. But in any case,
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah.
yeah. So, uh, one
Like,
second.
or does the
Yeah.
Batman have to take place in a synagogue or a temple?
What?
Does the
Wherever
Batman?
you want, sweetie. Why don't
Does
you
it
think about
matter like what place?
it? It doesn't.
Okay.
Sorry, I had to answer a question from one of my kiddos. So.
No worries.
Uh, in any case, the Punisher. There's no shortage of it's in that Batman line. It's in the and what comes to mind with this is also it brings up it definitely. I don't know about you, and how far along are you on The Boys on Prime? That show. Have you
Uh,
watched it all?
yeah, I've watched both series, and
Okay.
then there's the animated series that I'm a few episodes in on.
Yeah, you're way ahead of me then. But what it reminds me of is the primary character that Carl Urban plays, and that's the
Hmm.
real actor name. That one really comes close to a lot of what the Punisher
Hmm.
is in certain
Yeah,
aspects or behavior
yeah,
in an environment. Um,
yeah,
that character, and
yeah,
this is in
and
a yeah, go
mhm.
ahead.
Yeah, and well, I think you're gonna maybe tie this in later, so I may be stepping on your toes. But Garth
Totally.
Ennis is the creator of The Boys, and he was one of the major writers in the current run of Punisher. So,
Yeah. Yep. That's you're right there. He's a Garth is awesome.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
and
yeah,
I love Garth in that he writes comic books, but he has a real disdain for superheroes, and you could see it in his work. I mean, The Boys is all about uh demystifying the hero concept, and he wrote a comic book which you may or may not be aware of, called Hitman, where it's about this hitman. It's written in for DC, but he goes around, and obviously he's basically a hitman, but he's in the DC universe, so sometimes he gets mixed up with superheroes, and it's really a kind of a de deglorifying of the hero myth, and it's probably the precursor to his run because it became before Punisher and The Boys. And it's Garth Ennis. It's rough. It's raw. The art is really rough and raw as well, and it's a really a definite recommend if you like Garth stuff. So, yeah,
yeah,
I think you would enjoy it.
yeah, and I would put this caveat out, and some of the things that we try to flag it, so that folks are aware, but and we don't always do a great job, but no kids are watching this. I hope not, anyway. And not that there's anything wrong with them watching what we talk about or anything, but there is some kind of content that is parental. I definitely want to push that out, but having said that, the first one that I wanted to jump into, and then I kind of wanted to I kind of wanted to roll these up into a thing, so we didn't spend too much time on them on the comic book side, so we could get to the other things. Because I want to honor your list for this week, and as well as mine too. But the first one that I want to kind of jump into, and why I said that caveat of being parental adult kind of
Mhm.
content.
Yeah.
Punisher Max, the Max series of
Mhm.
Punisher, and there's been quite a few storylines, but the one
Mhm.
specifically that I wanted to jump into was the one with Garth and Ennis. And
Mhm.
it is adult, it is cuss words, it is violence, it is brutality, it is a lot of other things. I'm not going to go into the
Mhm.
subject matter because
Mhm.
I like when we started this whole thing, we wanted it to be family friendly, speaking, so to speak. As far as like what we do, well, not us being family friendly, maybe the content, but we give caveat. I think we've done a pretty good job of that. But in any case,
Oh yeah.
a Punisher Max, there's several
Mhm.
storylines. But one of my favorites was Garth Ennis, and
Mhm.
it's just
Yeah, he went for a few years on it, and actually some of the storylines and some scenes were plucked from his run on Punisher Max, and put into the Thomas Jane movie of Punisher, which
yep,
which I was very pleasantly surprised whenever
yep,
I saw
yes,
those in the in the
yes, it
movie.
was. Yes, it was. There's a lot of borrowing, a little bit of stealing from a lot of these things. Like, but that's the kind of and again, kind of that's why I brought up the boys, because this artist, although he didn't create, he a lot of the hard edge that comes from that, and like when Max kind of came out and whatnot, is predicated upon that roughness, that rated R-ness, that
Mhm,
brutality, because that is the Punisher.
mhm,
And it's the
mhm,
same storyline, a lot of comics, so to speak. You go to Batman. Batman is like the
mhm,
PG version of Punisher in a way, but in a mask,
mhm. Right.
kind of. I mean, that's very loose, but
Mhm.
parents, the origin story, and all these origin
Yeah,
stories.
if you were trying to map out the progression from Batman, you could probably, yeah, like you said, tie it down the line to the Punisher, where the Batman beget whoever who beget
Right,
whoever to
right.
lead up to the Punisher. It's all about finding this. It's that revenge fantasy. Whereas
Mm,
Batman, yeah, he's trying to revenge his parents through justice, to find justice for his parents through his actions. Whereas the Punisher, we haven't quite touched on his origin story, but basically, his wife and family were gunned down by these mafia guys, and his goal is to find revenge for
right,
them, and he wants to wipe out all the bad guys. And he gets kind of confused sometimes on who actually is the bad guys,
right.
and depending on who's writing, it kind of twist as far as if the Punisher is a good guy or a bad guy. And really,
Right.
that gray morality is what makes him such a fascinating character. And also, I guess if we're going from Batman to the Punisher, we can go to Deadpool, to where
Yep.
he's like the current generation's version of that gray character, the morally questioning type person.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with that for sure. Yeah, there is that progression from Batman to like the human side, no superhero powers, no special nothing,
Right.
taking
Mhm.
taking outside Batman being a billionaire or whatever. Bruce Wayne. Oh my God! Spoiler: Batman is Bruce
Yeah.
Wayne.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, for sure. Let
Mhm.
me go to my other one
I
here.
think
Like,
the Punisher's special powers, if he has one, is guns. He has lots and lots of guns.
yeah,
I'm not.
there's some.
Sometimes I wonder how he gets all of them, but but yeah,
Yeah,
there's the
there's a
guns.
lot there, like where it kind of rides a line of like when he gets shot or this or that, like whether there's powers there or something like that, or it's never explicitly said, but it's kind of hinted at, like
Hmm.
where his revenge gives him some kind of, I don't know. It's never explicitly said, like Wolverine and his
Hmm.
claws, or Superman and his heat
Hmm.
vision or whatever, laser eyes, whatever. But it's
Hmm.
more of like implied that revenge, and there's different versions, and Marvel does this with all their characters, where and I won't bring it up, but I might, but where there's a twist on a character, and the character is temporarily shifted over into another realm, or has powers, or becomes like that. They did that a lot with uh Ghost Rider, or Ghost or Spawn, not Spawn, but anyway, I'm excuse me, I have a let's
Yeah,
go
yeah.
Greg moment here. Excuse me.
Just to help you out there, there is a storyline that I have a few issues of, where Frank Castle, which is the Punisher, spoiler alert, uh, he he uh, he becomes the Ghost Rider, who
That's right.
gets tied up with the Thanos as a child, and he's protecting the child of Thanos, as Thanos as a child, and trying to get through the galaxy. And he's like an old gray-haired Frank Castle. And I read the first volume. It was so detached from what Frank Castle is that I wasn't really keen on the
Connecting.
story. But
Right.
it was kind of fun just to read, but it wasn't something that I was really invested in.
That's right. Yeah, I was trying to find the other one. I didn't put it on our list, but Oh, I don't have it. I'm not even gonna try. But yeah, there's like twists on the Punisher, and those stories are fun too. And sometimes the artwork
Yeah,
is
and
really good.
yeah, and to speak on twist on it, what the original idea was is talk about what came out. I guess it wasn't last week, or the week before. Uh, Punisher, not the Punisher, but Punisher #1 came out by Josh Aaron, and I get the artist. I think probably pull up the page of it, but that came out from Marvel, and it's the Punisher. There's various factions in Marvel, and one of them deals with ninjas called the Hand, and the Hand has recruited the Punisher.
Interesting. Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, the two that I picked, are both by Garth Ennis, and he
okay.
is, yeah, that's just mine. I don't really want to go into details too much because we got a lot of cover, but aside the Marvel Knights, I believe, is a little bit more family friendly than than the Max series. The Max series is something you do not want your kid, unless you've seen it yourself, regardless of what age or their maturity. The Max series that's one you got to check out yourself. But if you, you would never share this with your whatever. This is for the adult kids in the room, so to speak. But I think a better starting line for this would be either the one you read, you'll cover soon here, or this one. And with that being said, I feel like I love the anti-hero kind of character, and that's always been big. Growing up, from the time that we were kids growing up, that anti-hero role has really grown, and it's kind of expected now. And when they do it right, it's great. And there's a lot of fan love on my side for some of these, but I think they hold up for the most part.
Yeah, I think the first anti-hero I ran across was when I was 13. I think maybe younger, maybe older. I watched Escape from New York, and Snake Plissken was like the perfect anti-hero. That guy, I watched that. I was always kind of like, I always enjoyed the anti-hero. Like, even with Star Wars, Han Solo was the guy that was like, okay, this guy is cool. And then when Escape from New York came around, it was like, okay, this guy this guy is a badass. I didn't know what a badass was, but I watched him and I was like, yeah, this guy's cool.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that's there's just so many anti-heroes, and this, and at some point we'll have to do a Judge Dredd episode, maybe. We'll see, but same thing. Anti-hero, gray area. There is a black and white kind of sort of there's a lot of that, but and there's a lot of that's probably a reoccurring theme that I like anyway, for the series that I like anyway, and like to keep up with. That there's definitely a softer edge to some of this stuff, that you just can't do what you want. And I remember, I guess that was a little bit more related to, like, actually, let me look that up here off the screen here while we talk. But while I do that, what started this whole thing, I don't want to get too far away from that. That was the cornerstone of where we started. Do you want to go over that real quick, or do you want to kind of touch?
The comic book. The new comic book is Punisher, and it's like I said, it's the Hand, the ninja group have seen how much of a warrior he is, and they want him in their corner. They want him to go after the bad guys for them, so to speak. And he the big it was written by Jason Aaron. There a lot of people aren't really keen on his writing, or at least from what I've read. But For me, when he gets it right, he gets it right, and I think he gets it right with Punisher. The uh, a lot of the controversy is over his new symbol on his chest, and I picked this particular link that showcases an
This is that one,
alternate
right?
cover. Yeah,
Okay, cool,
it's
cool. I just
got
want to make
that
sure.
kind of yeah, that kind of got that dragon soul kind of look on it. And a lot of people were up in arms over this online, of course.
Right, right.
Anything, I guess, will cause people to go up in arms online. But their take on it was that, a lot of the people like law enforcement and various people, conservative
Military.
people, yeah,
Right.
military, are like the Punisher symbol, that skull
Skull.
symbol, and
Right.
put the gets the T-shirts with it on it, and they saw this as an assault by Marvel to try to ruin that symbol, which I think is just BS. I mean that symbol
Okay.
is a symbol and it's gonna be there forever.
Right. Yeah.
That's ingrained in people's minds. This is a story, which is actually a really good story. I really recommend it. The first issue is really good. Just read it and see if you like it. But I think you will like it if you like Punish. This is
Yeah.
very true to the character. And my comic book guy that does a weekly review of what's in the comic book shop from our local comic shop, he went through and counted deaths in this issue, and it was over 40. And that should be a recommendation, but if you need a little more, the Hand is really manipulating him through his love of his family, and I'll leave it at that so that there's no spoilers. But yeah, this is really definitely if you love the Punisher, this is definitely an issue you want to get in the series to pick up.
Awesome. Yeah. And I have not read this. Like I was going to, but I got sidetracked by all the. I intended to, but I think I got to like page 2 and then distracted. I'm
Yeah.
got other stuff I got to do. But as much as I would love to.
Mhm.
Well, I hope this takes off and we can just do this all the time. But
Yeah.
me and 50 million other people that watch YouTube and do anyway. Yeah. So this is a definite recommend for sure.
Oh, definitely,
Cool,
definitely.
cool, cool. Yeah, I think that covers the Punisher side of this. And then
Hmm.
bear with me here 1 second.
Sure.
I'll let you hang out for a sec here, and then if you could go into the other ones that you had listed, because I know I had copied your links, but we'll kind of go from there and kind of book in the comic section of the show for now, and then kind of go from there if that's cool. If you want to take
Yeah,
over
yeah.
and kind of go into and which one should I go to first for these guys?
Yeah, you can go into Wolverine patch. Yeah.
Cool. Cool.
Right. The cool thing about what Marvel has been starting to do is actually reaching out to old creators and from the 90s and getting them to come back and write new stories from there. And I don't know if very many of you remember Wolverine patch. This is when the early 90s when X-Men had been supposedly killed and they were in hiding, and Wolverine had went to Madripoor and had taken on this persona of Patch. And so he was kind of incognito as Patch and running. Madripoor is sort of like this Asian city with all this corruption, and so he had these cast of characters he interacted with. And Larry Hama was one of the writers. Larry Hama is probably best known for writing GI Joe, but he wrote a lot of the Wolverine series comic book. and this is him coming back to Patch and writing like a forgotten tale from that time period.
Okay.
Which is go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's just kind of a fun return to it. And there the other three series I was going to talk about kind of has that similar vein to it.
Is this kind of like where kind of like for Wolverine anyway? Is this in the vein of like when the Hulk with his Mr. Fix-It personality, that kind of thing? Where they are this kind of persona for a while, and then it kind of moves on.
Basically at that time, the X-Men had decided to pretend that they were dead just to protect their families, because they were under attack, and so they basically what Wolverine was doing at this time was trying to not be Wolverine. So his big plan was not to cut his hair, because that would ruin his style. He was going to wear this patch, and that would just totally confuse people. And if you read the original series, one of the fun things about it was like, how could anyone not realize this is Wolverine? And towards the a few issues in, Wolverine decides to admit to his closest allies in the comic book that, oh yeah, I'm actually Wolverine, and they're like, yeah, we knew. It's like, yeah, it was obvious. But yeah, it was just a kind of fun kind of instead of it being sort of a superhero comic book, it was more like a espionage sort of James Bond kind of a storyline in this Asian city. And you had these kind of Asian thugs that were coming at Wolverine, and he's always been kind of steeped in that Asian culture.
That's right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, yes.
Several lines of that, especially him going back to. There's a whole thing there with the samurai and the sword and all that stuff, and counteracting his adamantium, like making them a worthy opponent, so to speak, or whatever. But anyway, yeah, cool. Yeah, I have not read this one.
Yeah.
I need to. I mean, I've heard about it, but I have never read it all the way through, for sure.
Yeah, and the cool thing in this past week it came out, and along with that, Venom. So what was the name of that? Venom. Lethal Protector came out as well, and that was done by, I think I have that on my list of links as well. It's written by David Michelini, who is actually the co-creator of Venom. It's that link above Wolverine, yeah. That one right there.
Venom again, this is kind of goes to the backbone of that anti-hero. Venom is one of those characters too.
Yeah. And so David Michelini co-created this with Todd McFarlane, which obviously McFarlane came up with the design and kind of ran with it as far as what he looked like. But David Michelini wrote the stories, and this is a story that I guess that a lost story from that era. It's a very, very much nice comic book. The art style in it's very much like what it was back in the 90s. So if you had that nostalgia feeling for Venom, it's got like the best and worst of that time period. There was like this kind of overwrought drama from that period that kind of plays into it. But yeah, if you just want this really good nostalgia injection from that time period, this is a good one for that. But the best one from the crop that I gave you is Maestro. I believe that's Maestro World War M. That one right there.
Okay. I was curious about this too.
Yeah, that was by Peter David. This Maestro was first introduced. I think it was a graphic novel back in the 90s. uh, when Peter David first run on the Hulk. There was the Future Hulk, and the Future Hulk was called Maestro, and in that original graphic novel, Hulk goes into the future to take on Maestro and defeat his evil future self.
Right.
And this comic book is basically delving further into the Maestro universe and getting to know this evil Hulk a little bit better. And again, this kind of ties in with our anti-hero sentiment as well.
Right.
And the future Hulk is just a horrible person.
Yeah, to sparingly use a word, he's a bastard for sure. Like hands down,
Mhm.
like there is no ifs, ands, or buts around it. That he's a bastard, and
Yeah.
you don't like him, and
Mhm.
that's a call out to some of the subject matter that he's responsible for is interesting, but
Yeah. Yeah, and I think these three titles are inspired by about a year ago. Marvel started doing a title called X-Men Legend, which was basically going back through the 90s of X-Men and filling in sort of like the gaps and lost storylines that weren't fulfilled back then, and kind of filling them out with old creators, uh, with like say Chris Claremont and Walt Simonson and Louis Simonson. And I guess that one was so successful that they decided to pull back these older creators to fill in the gaps of these older storylines. And us as fans are benefit to them because these old creators are still great people. And one to look forward to is there's a Elektra title that is coming out. I think it's called Elektra Issue 100. I don't know why it's being called that. I'm sure there's a reason for it. But yeah, that one's being written by Ann Nesenti, and she's one of the best writers, one of the best female writers in comic books. I don't know why she isn't more lauded as as one of the best female writers in comic books, because she took over Daredevil right after Frank Miller. And right after Frank Miller redefined Daredevil and was like, put his handprint on it, and that was Daredevil. And it had to take a lot of balls to take over Daredevil after Frank Miller, and
okay.
Anthony did it, and she had plenty of balls, and she wrote and created a lot of cool characters after that, within the Daredevil universe. And the fact that she's writing this new Elektra makes me really excited.
Awesome. Man, I'm gonna be flooded with things. That's awesome. That's so cool. That's so cool. I'll have that down and throw it on the list here.
Yeah. And just to I'm sure I'm getting a little long-winded here, but the
Okay.
kind of the button on this is that Bleeding Pool article. If you want to pull it up, unfortunately, that pulls up a lot of pop-ups.
Which one?
Right,
Sorry, was
a
it?
couple links above that. Yeah, not that one. Right above it. Oh, yep.
Yep, there we go. Bleeding Pool.
That one right there. Yeah. Yeah. The bad thing is, uh, the print run of Marvel is getting badder and badder. Uh, this is talking about how a lot of the Marvel comics to be printed on toilet paper.
Okay.
That the paper quality is absolutely horrible. Like you were saying, like I was recommending Maestro. The only detraction is I have it right here. It's in a bag. I had to take extra care not to damage this when I read it. It's
Really?
very bad paper quality,
Oh, my
and they're
heart breaks.
charging. Yeah, they're charging $4 for this comic book, and You know, that it's not the quality of, of a like comic book. The fact that Image comic books, like with their Spawn series, are only charging still $2.99 for their comic books, and creating a kind of a hard, almost cardboard cover with nice pages in between, makes this very sad. In that Marvel is backed by Disney, and they can afford to make a decent comic book for $3.99, and the fact that it's horrible quality paper is just kind of sad.
It
And
is sad.
towards the bottom of the article, they said that they're trying to fix it and bring it back to what it was. But to be honest, what it wasn't much better. I love Marvel. I love a lot of the creators for Marvel. But if they made better looking and better quality comic book as far as the physical quality, they would have me. But if I had to rate the quality of the comic books, Marvel would be last, DC would be next up, and Image, and I for Image there would be Dark Horse, and then top quality is Image. And
Yeah.
that's kind of sad to say that the so-called independent comic book is the best quality comic book out there as far as the actual physical quality.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I don't. The last few physical comic books that I bought were very image heavy, and that was a while ago. But it is.
Mhm.
That's sad. That's just sad. Yeah, there is no excuse. This is not 1990s
No.
Marvel where they have to literally sell off the IP for their major licensing for their characters.
And
then
even
you get
then,
into this-
in the '90s, they had like issues that had reflective covers that were quality,
Right.
nice quality comic books.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There is no reason to do that, especially with where, especially from their point of view. Like this isn't dead. Probably say it's never going to become a novelty. For as long as there are books in print, there are going to be comic books in print, and new fans, like my kiddo over there, my son, etc. Like they're going to want to have a good experience, and it just makes me sad that they would not have good quality, physical media. It's like I get the physical media and whatnot, but there is a good there's a smaller I don't know how many people out there collect these things. Like when so motivated, I'll buy an extra copy or something like that. But $5 for a $7 for a comic book, is my brother-in-law he does not like this, like where it's not like it was, $2-3, something reasonable, but then everything like it climbs,
Yeah, and if I was talking to someone that wanted to get into comic books now, I'd say collect the trade paperbacks. If you're an investor that wants to collect comic books to sell, I wouldn't really recommend that. If you're really into that, I would say that you would want to kind of keep up with what's the key issues and try to get those. But yeah, I enjoy going into the comic books each week, our comic book shop each week, and getting my a batch of comic books. But yeah, it really makes me sad to get those Marvel comics, and knowing that even holding them in my hands kind of corrupts them. that I have to dig through, and while I'm in the comic book shop, I have to dig through and get those Image comic books that have the sturdier covers to hold on the bottom as I hold my comic books to make sure that those Marvel comic books are protected. It's just a sad situation.
I agree. No, I agree. And I don't. I am a fair weather well, that's a stupid way to put it, but I you know, like when I go to the comic book shop, I will buy the ones for reading, and those when I'm done, they'll get back and boarded and all that stuff. And are bagged and boarded, or boarded and bagged, whatever the terminology is. But I still have like, you know, and then I'll put them in there and I'll seal them up and then whatever. I think the only way going in that vein, if you really want to go out there, I can't remember who it is, but there's a company out there, and I know this is not a recommendation or anything. Just talking about it factually exists. You can send your comic book to them. They will appraise it, and they will essentially lock it down in a package to where they'll give it a rating, they'll give it a score, whatever it is. I have no idea out there, but in any case, essentially when you do that, you're essentially archiving. You're being an archivist, and you're putting it off to the side to like where you know it's not like
the horrible thing. Yeah, and the horrible thing is like this Maestro comic book is done on such bad paper that if you look towards the end of the article, they say that you know a lot of them are coming in damaged, so they're not even near mint.
Pristine.
They're like very fine to fine new, and that's that's pretty bad when you get a new comic book and if it's only very fine quality. And not even near mint. And to shout out to my local comic book shop, whenever they get in a bad batch of comic books, they don't even put it on the shelf. They put it off to the side, and people will come up saying, "Hey, where's the new issue of so and so? I was looking forward to that." And they say, "Oh well, got some bad issues in," and they get like. It's kind of like first come, first serve. They give out the ones that were good quality, if there is any. And then if they're left with the bad quality, it's like, okay, we got the bad quality, you know, we can sell it to you, but we could trade it out if we get replacement copies. But you know, just buyer beware instead of just putting it out on the shelf and letting people pick it up and realize, oh yeah, it's a bad comic book.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree completely. It's it would be nice if they kept up the quality, but that's what it is.
But yeah, it kind of lists there in the article which ones that were bad that came out. I got Iron Man 18 towards the bottom of there. I think you're falling down past it. But yeah, go down. But yeah, like some of the afflicted titles, you got highlighted now. I got Iron Man 18 and Maestro, those two. I didn't collect Savage Spider-Man #2, Shang-Chi #10, neither of those. But yeah, I can attest to Iron Man 18 and Maestro World M2, both were bad copies. I got as good a quality as I could. I read them very carefully and put them in the bag and board. But yeah, if I was a collector or if you were out there that was kind of interested in getting either of those titles, which I recommend both of those. Those are very well written comic books. I would say get the trade paperback if you're not really interested in collecting individual issues. And then it looks like they mentioned a couple of others that are coming out that will be bad as well. That Miles Morales #36 and Silk #3. I don't collect either of those, so luckily I won't have to deal with those.
That's and I since we started this thing, it really I have an iPad like many folks, I'm sure, but it's okay to read a digital comic book. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong. I still prefer paper. I prefer that tactile feel. And what I'm really looking for, and they haven't invented it yet. I'm looking for a good e-ink color reader or device that I can do this on. And there's some preliminary ones out there, but they're not quite there yet. And you're never going to get the color and the depth and the beauty of. Don't get me wrong. There are some digital comic books that really sing so to speak. But as far as that, like, I don't really envision myself sitting down and enjoying my coffee or my quiet time and kind of cracking open the iPad and like kind of doing this. Like that's okay. Don't get me wrong. There are some that I enjoy like that, but nothing can beat the physical, okay, boomer.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, there's something about that textile feel and smell of the paper, and that really kind of adds to the experience. But yeah, and further than that, it's if you're looking as far as a collector, your digital comic book isn't going to be worth anything because that's locked to your pad. Whereas, if you have your physical issue of Spider-Man #1, that's going to be worth something maybe in the future.
Right.
Whereas,
Well, I'm surprised we haven't heard anything yet, but I'm really surprised that NFTs have not infected or crossed over, depending upon your view. Comic books or digital things like that, but maybe we're better off until that. But anyway, that's like
I think some of the artists have kind of dipped into NFTs, but yeah, like I said, that's a whole different topic that I have very strong opinions about, which we probably don't want to get into at the moment.
I'm probably right there with you. We're similarly minded on a lot of things. But anyway, kind of pulling this back to center. So, did you have any other comic book things that you wanted to cover before we jump into the Punisher and other media?
There was a I don't know if we want to really get into it, but I actually, yeah, I think we could just no, we can go on. I think we've run a little bit, so let's go on to what we have for you, and we'll finish out.
And we might go maybe 15, 20 more minutes. We're rolling up on 10 minutes shy of an hour, something like that, like something with 50-minute mark.
Okay.
So we're fine for now, but if you wanted to cover, I kind of envisioned us maybe going over maybe a little bit extra, like hour and a half. So like we can keep rolling on if you want to. That's fine by me.
Okay. Yeah, there was a weird kind of mystery that is going on. If you go to the Wikipedia link for Sana Amanon, she's an interesting character in Marvel. Let's see.
Unbelievable.
That didn't. Yeah, it kind of didn't load right. But yeah, she was the if you go to the Wikipedia link on there on that page, she kind of was the spokesperson for Marvel for a little while. She met up with Barack Obama and gave him the issue of Amazing Spider-Man with him on the cover. She was sort of like the spokesperson for Marvel, and she in her background's there's a big mystery. She's an enigma. In her Wikipedia it says that a high-ranking Marvel executive said that she was someone that they really needed, that they were looking for in the company, and they hired her on, and she's and there's not a lot of information about her. If you look at the Wikipedia, there's not a lot. She worked for a little bit for Virgin Comic Books, which went out of business within 2 years, and from that got on as a high-ranking person in Marvel Comics. Her title is Director of Content and Character Development, which sounds like one of those positions that are kind of created for a person. But yeah, she, like I said, she did that presentation with Barack Obama. She did a TED Talk about comic books, and she also famously co-created a Miss Marvel, which is the first ongoing singular character series of a Muslim character. she was like, "This is me as a comic book character," and um, she kind of promoted that. She was sort of like the facing person of Marvel for a long while there, and I almost thought, well, there's kind of like transitioning from Stan Lee to her, and then a couple of years back, she's kind of took a back seat to everything and disappeared. And the fact that the Miss Marvel has a new series coming out on Disney Plus. People were
Right.
pointing out that her last tweet was in December, the end of December, and Marvel wasn't mentioning her. And there was a rumor of an insider saying that she had been fired from Marvel, and that there was some impropriety or whatever. Again, totally rumors. And then once those rumors had started up, she started posting again on on Twitter. Nothing as confirmation that she's still with Marvel, but she is still promoting Miss Marvel. But if you look at any of the promotions for Miss Marvel, she's not involved in that, which you think since she was such a front-facing public figure for Marvel, that she would be highly involved with this new launching of her character on Disney Plus. So there's this huge mystery with her. Again, all of what I said, as far as what's happened to her recently, is total rumor. I have no opinion on that. The fact that she's started posting on Twitter again about the new series kind of leads me to think that she's still with Marvel. Because if she wasn't, there would be a non-disclosure thing where she wouldn't be able to post about it. But who knows? I thought it was kind of interesting. I thought she's such a mystery and such an interesting character within Marvel that I wanted to bring her up. She's kind of fascinating as far as who she is and what's going on, since there's such little information about her.
Thomas, once again, you come through with timeliness, because I'm reading here, and when she did do it with President Obama, it was Women's History Month. I believe it's March this month. So that's
okay. Yeah,
to what we're doing. So good on you.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I did see that. I don't know that I'm going to be. I don't know about you, but I only have so much time when it comes to picking and choosing what I want to watch or be entertained by. And there is just such a flood. I kept up with it maybe up to 4 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, if I'm being generous, of the Marvel this, the Star Wars that, the this or that. Like, there's a flood of things out there. It's all good.
Well,
it's all good from the standpoint of getting more folks involved and whatnot. But I've left that train. I can't keep up. And some other reasons too, but for the most part, I'm not, as the kids say, butt hurt, but there's only so much stuff I can watch, and I'm not watching some of the new stuff, not because I don't like it or anything. I don't have time, like I'm not going to be thinking that.
Marvel has a a big push to introduce more female characters. I think America Chavez, which is a new female character, is being introduced in the new Doctor Strange movie, and they're kind of pushing, like, Captain Marvel's been around forever, but there's kind of like a focus on pushing forward new female characters, which I kind of understand, but Miss Marvel has been a character that really hasn't hit off with the fan base. The titles, which Marvel wouldn't say that it's been canceled, but if you look at the sales of the comic, it gets really poor. So it's been canceled, so to speak, and relaunched several times. And and so this character isn't real popular with the current fan base. In the new series, her powers are kind of redone. It's not the same powers that they are in the comic book. In the comic book, she gets really big hands, and in this one, in the comic, in the series, it's more cosmic based, and they can do different things. So the fact that they're they're redefining the character through their powers really kind of changes the character. Because if you take Spider-Man and take out his web powers and make him kind of a flying super powered guy, then he's like a totally different character. So it's kind of interesting. And Miss Marvel, from the ads I've seen, seems to be more of like a teen drama type thing, which
Okay.
I'm way past my teens, if you can
Right.
tell by
Right.
the way I look. And the
Right.
last teen comic book that I was really interested in was Invincible, which kind of took
Right.
the teen superhero and spun it on its head and blew it
Yep.
up. So
And they did
and
they did a great
yeah.
job on that. It is a classic for sure.
Yeah, so another comic book or series about just a basic traditional teen drama. I'm not interested in. Sorry enough.
Yeah. Yeah. I and really Marvel and DC, they all do this where they'll take something and most of the stuff doesn't stick. And there are so many bad storylines from Marvel in the 90s that nobody cares about. But they reinvent the character to kind of keep it up with modern day. Sometimes here, like for example, Punisher. On the topic of this, when we started out, it was Vietnam. I believe when he came on the scene, it was Vietnam. And then a little bit later, when they reinvented him, reintroduced him, whatever, I don't know what that's called, a retcon or whatever it is. But then it's like, oh well, it's not that. It's the it's trying to fit it in to modern times. I wish they would just kind of throttle back from some of the topics, and they would just let artists create things without. Just let the story be the story. Let the character be the. Nobody's gonna bat an eye at one of their new character or whatever. Like if people don't like it, people don't like it. But that creativity and that art, the artistry, like let them be, and let them develop it into something that people really care about, and not be not just a niche, but a sub niche thing that only like 500,000 people are going to care about. Like what good does that do? Like I don't know, but
the thing I pull away from it is the story is the key. I don't care if you have these political ideas. I don't care if you have these personal ideas, the personal struggles that you have within yourself. Definitely adds to a story, but on the base of it, you really have to have a strong story to wrap these different elements around it. If you don't have the story, if you only have those elements, that's all you have, and it's a story that falls apart in the end, because you're pushing an agenda or a feeling that has no base for it, which the base is the story.
Right.
And if you could pull me into a story that really involves me, that character is dealing with the struggle that I can relate to or that I can sympathize with,
right,
you have me. You can pull me along, and you can add these little different elements and flavors to it that may open my eyes to different things, but you can't beat me over the head with these elements and without
Right.
creating an interesting character, because that's all you're doing is
Yeah.
beat me over the head.
Well, we're of the same opinion. Just let it be organic. Like, let them do what they want to do without something overriding it. Because the problem is, when you get something overriding it, it doesn't matter. Like, for example, we had the Oscars recently. All right, people are going to be talking about that. What happened? I'm not even going to get dignified or whatever, but they're going to be talking about that for the next, year, 2 years, 3 years. And it's not going to be it's not going to be like the gist of like what the artist is actually doing or what's important or whatever. It distracts away from it when you try to put something artificially on. If you put 2 tons on wooden legs, it's not gonna hold up. But if you put it on steel legs, your foundation is gonna be a lot better. I love new stories. I want to see more. Like, I remember a time when Marvel and DC were unpopular or they were lame, and that's where you saw the rise of Dark Horse and Image, and there's that. But they took over that because there was nothing of value coming from the big guys. Like, if once we can, and I don't think we're too far away from it. I hope not, anyway. But like we're in this period, and I'm not gonna go into details or whatever, because we don't do that here. But if we could just move past this point in time, I don't think we're too far away. I hope we're not too, like, and when I say too far away, I think we're like maybe a year out, maybe, before they settle down and like there's some balance. I hope, like, where it's not just about it's okay to have that, but like, for example, Greg talking about this, Greg Rucka. Greg Rucka has a history of writing wonderful female characters, and that across the board. Like, and I won't bring it into. This might be an episode for another thing, but I don't want to get too far afield. But like there are great characters out there. There, like you just mentioned, like we talked about today. Like, let the real artists come through. Let them come through and let them do their craft. Let them do their craft, not big dollars and cents, but of course, who knows? I don't know, but we're closely circling the drain.
Yeah, and I think that we're kind of circling around that, because like those 3 comic books that I recommended are all from like generation comic book writers from the 90s. So it seems like they're trying to re-embrace that kind of concept of embracing those old storytellers with just telling cool little stories, which I take that as a good sign.
I agree. I think they know. They and I don't know anything, and what they do at that high level, God bless them. Just like just make better decisions. But there's a lot of. I think if anything, we could probably nutshell this and say something to the effect of like the last half decade has not been very kind with there's just this oppositional side of it, like where you have the creators and you have the fans, and there's just this thing that happens, and there's a battle that happens, and it's just like, can we just not do that? But it is what it is. But you know what? I don't know what I don't know, and it's I don't think that it's a grand thing. There's wonderful storylines out there, and the beautiful thing about today is that you have so many people like ourselves that are on YouTube that can highlight the better storylines out there. Like, hey, you should pay attention to this. Right. Not just the old thing, but here's the new thing. And like you and I both constantly try to look for the future and try to look for not for the next thing, because we're not that podcast. Or we're not that kind of the spokes, but there are storylines out there. I'm with you. I don't care about anything else related to any of this. It's a good storyline. The artist work is great. Everything is great. It'll click into place and it'll be organic, so to speak. And then nobody can tell, other than like the really good geniuses out there like Stan Lee and the different folks out there that can kind of take the pulse of the fandom and know what they want, and serve it up.
I think
You know.
I think the best creators out there that serve the fans that are very popular are those that embrace their fans and like, I love you. Here's my
Right.
stories, and we embrace the stories and love them. Like you were saying, I don't have time to go back and research everybody's Twitter, their Facebook, their social media presence to find out if they're a good guy, a bad guy. You
Right.
tell me a good story, I'm there. But if you beat me over the head with, oh, I'm this guy on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, if you really want to make so much noise that I pay attention that, oh, okay, this is who you are, this is who you want to be recognized as,
Right.
and if I relate to you, okay, that's cool. But if you make such a diametric presence to yourself that is like, oh, I don't know if I want to be, if I want to support this guy, uh, that's a detriment to you. I'll step away from this
Right.
creator. Yeah, if you don't make, if you just go out there and tell stories like if you're a storyteller, that's what you do. You tell stories,
Right.
and if those are universal stories, that's great. They don't have to be truly universal. If you want to tell a personal story that I can relate to, that's cool.
Right.
But if I don't relate to it and it's not my thing, hey, there's someone else out there that may enjoy it. I'm not going to badmouth it. It's out there.
Right.
Those people. It's cool.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that it's so open now, and that anyone can reach out and read their stories. But I really have a problem with people that go out to uh, find a fight with different people for
Right.
different fans. That
Right.
just doesn't. I just don't understand that
I think
concept.
I think the silent super majority of folks out there that are just like you and I, we have jobs, we have lives, we have commitments, we have things. We don't have infinite time in the world to know what is okay, what is not okay, nor do we care.
Hmm.
Like at the end of the day, nobody cares about any of this stuff. In 10 years,
Yeah.
nobody's going to remember so and so's Twitter fight or so and so's cause or whatever, cause celeb, whatever.
Or how
But,
sad is it that you have to dig through and say, oh, well, this person said this 10 years ago, even
yeah, I
though
don't care.
they have this type of presence now. They
Right.
said this 10 years ago. Look at
Yeah,
that.
I just want them to just get out of the room, let the artist be the artist, and I'm sure they have. I'm sure there are many artists and there are many creators out there that have, but and it is what it is. But anyway, kind of we're a little bit far afield, but that's okay. Like kind of
Yeah.
reeling it in.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I don't know one fan that detests everything that comes out that's brand new, that is just, it's all crap. Or I don't know anybody
Mhm.
like that in real life.
Right.
I know folks
Yeah.
like you and I that humanize this, and
Yeah.
there is
there
there's
are YouTubers that go for controversy that will
right.
go against different things
I don't
just
care about it.
to generate controversy.
Yeah, and you know what? Good for them. You know what? They're
Yeah,
making money.
yeah.
I have a
Make
universal
your
rule.
make your bag. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like for the most part, I think that the only unforgivable sin in my eyes, to a point, I'm not gonna go to war over this point, but
Mhm.
let folks make their money. Don't mess with somebody's ability to make money. Leave them alone.
Yeah.
Like let them go do their
Yeah.
thing. The world is a
Mhm.
very, very big place. It is a
Mhm.
very, very big place, and there is no shortage of wonderful storylines out there, but they're untapped. Or maybe they view, maybe they had the wrong market. I don't know, but I would love to read
Mhm.
more interesting, crazy things. There's nothing that could shock me. There's nothing that I'm
Mhm.
sensitive to. If you've ever read if you've been in sci-fi novels, and I'll give you your say, and then I'll kind of jump off here. But I have read storylines that would be shut down today. If they were put out today, they would be shut down. I would not be able to read that. And the sci-fi novels that have controversial subjects or whatever. And I can't think of the famous quote, but sci-fi, comic books, this all things. I want to live in a world where you have people that push the boundaries of imagination and whatnot, and they're just good stories. At the end of the day, this podcast, every podcast you love to listen to, if it involves more than one person, it's about a conversation. That's what I want to get to the heart, the root, the heart of. But anyway, I'll let you say your piece, and then we'll go. We'll jump on to we'll bring it back to center with Punisher.
Just to cap on that, the I guess the anti-hero vibe of things. But I love everything from Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, original comic books at the heart of things. And I go through the extreme of Garth Ennis's comic books to the challenging, metaphysical, weird, crazy, transgender-inducing vibe of Grant Morrison. If you read The Invisibles, that's one of my favorite series in the world. And if you say I'm too conservative and you read The Invisibles and still think I am, then good on you.
Wonderful. Like all kinds, all makes, all models.
As long as you tell a good story, I'm there with you. No matter what.
With that being said, we covered a lot, and I just wanted to dip into this, kind of doing justice, pun intended, or injustice, if your opinion is whatever. But kind of going from the Punisher, I just wanted to cover the small screen and the big screen, and I just wanted to kind of throw out recommendations. There's the Punisher. I was very excited when this came out. This was back when we were starved for more. We wanted more storylines for our favorite comic book. This was quite a few years ago. This 4 years ago, maybe 3. It was more than 3, maybe 4, maybe 5. But there was a drought on the Marvel side, on the small screen side for storylines. They kind of took all the minor tier characters and they rolled them into whatever IP agreement they had. And Netflix had a hit on its hands, several hits, with Daredevil for sure, and Punisher season 1. But Daredevil season 2 is where the debut of Punisher came in, and that season is fantastic. It is great.
I really enjoyed it.
I think it went to season 3. I have not caught up on season 3. But season 2 of Daredevil is when the Punisher came in, and there's a famous epic scene where he is in a prison and he has to fight his way through out of it. Anyway, it's all good. It's all good. I think that you currently can only watch that on Disney Plus, because it was on Netflix, and you had said get a little bit of commentary. It originated on Netflix, but Disney owns the rights, lock, stock, and barrel. So now, if you want to watch Daredevil season 1 through 3, I think, you have to go to Disney Plus.
Disney. Disney had various contracts, like with Netflix and HBO, various contracts that they had for a certain amount of years before they could all pull that back into Disney Plus. And obviously, the time came up and they didn't renew the contracts with Netflix, and so they could pull it back on Disney Plus.
I have still saved. I'm still behind a little bit. I have not watched season 2 all the way through Punisher, but season 1 is great. And technically, if we're honest here, in my eyes anyway. Season 1, I guess, and half, or season half of Punisher came from Daredevil season 2, and then season 1 of Punisher was great. I have not finished season 2, but it doesn't suck. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But John Barenthal, wow, John Barenthal was great for his role as Punisher, and I'm going to get a little bit dreamy-eyed here, a little bit of fan service here, but John Barenthal is great as Punisher. He's friggin' perfect.
Yep.
He does everything. He does everything right. And then kind of jumping onto that, there was a big drought of comic book related media and on the big screen or small screen for a long time. But one of my favorites for Punisher is, like I said, Daredevil season 2, going into season 1, and I'm sure season 2 of Punisher is also, again, I said 3 or 4 years ago. It's more like 5 years ago, like when this came out. But having said all that, kind of jumping on there was a big gulf, and I remember because I was a big fan. There was a little kind of going back. My favorite Punisher movie, and there's not too many of them, but was with Thomas Jane. Thomas Jane did a fantastic job as Punisher on this movie. And my son and I watched this like maybe within the last 6 months or so, but he loved it. Captivated him like he captivated me.
Yeah.
And this is not overly gratuitous. This is from the early 2004. It has violence, but it's not like over the top, and it's not like Punisher Max type type thing. Like
although it does pull some of the storylines, or at least the scene ideas from some of the Garth Ennis run on.
Oh, it does. It does.
It does. Yeah.
And it doesn't take long for you to see that when you watch this movie. But like this movie is the best Punisher movie of all time. I'll go on record on saying that for sure. I'm not gonna tell you what you should or shouldn't watch. But there was another one that was made probably about 10 years in the future, and it was I think it was this Warzone one, and it's just not the same thing. It's not the same thing.
Yeah.
Like if you like it, great, but Punisher on the small screen and on the big screen, and that little mini short that was there that I'll bring up here, there was this one that was that came out, theater mode please, thank you. But this was like kind of in between, and I don't have I didn't have time to track down the original version of this, but this was kind of like, this was not fan fiction, but along those lines, where Thomas Jane, there was a non-trivial amount of folks that were calling for like more Punisher kind of thing, and Thomas Jane was it. He's a little bit too old now, but boy, that would be cool if Disney or somebody did a old one-off, old school, like find a storyline where Frank Castle has gray hair, and I think we'll have Thomas Jane movie.
Like Logan, do a story like Logan.
Exactly. Perfect.
With Frank Castle. Yep.
Did you like Logan? Overall, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, that one was good. But yeah, have Garth Ennis write the screenplay or help with the story idea.
That's
and
true.
do an old Frank Castle story. I'd be there for it.
I would too, but who knows? But in any case, kind of going back into that and rolling it up. Do you have any YouTube recommendations for this week?
Yeah, just real quick. I recommended Near Mint Condition. Their YouTube channel. They're right there. Basically, they review various graphic novels and omnibuses. Omnibuses are normally giant size hardback books, but basically they kind of go through and give you a review as far as the quality of the book and what to expect with inside it. And he does a really good job of kind of going through, and he actually there's a couple of videos of how to break in your omnibus book to where it doesn't hurt the book as far as reading it. He's a true fan as far as comic books. He does like his top 10 list of top top 10 graphic novels. He's a huge X-Men fan. If you watch any of his videos, you realize what a X-Men fan he is. But yeah, if you're kind of interested in getting into graphic novels, or if you want to see what new omnibuses are coming out, he's a great source of it. He's really enthusiastic about comic books. I always enjoy watching his videos. Sometimes he'll put his family involved into some of his videos. It's just a fun channel. He has no hot takes or anything. He just
Cool.
loves comic books.
Love that. Love that. Love that. That's awesome. That's awesome. And I subscribe, so I'm gonna enjoy it. With that being said, oh, did I? Oh, apparently I closed it out. I remember doing that, but that's okay. We'll roll with the punches. Pardon me. I got to get back to my
Your master list.
yeah, my
I must have my master list.
indeed. Excuse me. I just wanted to make sure that there's nothing like super duper or whatever, but that was a flub on my part. So shame on me for not having it.
Yeah.
Well, with that being said, it's more of a funny kind of take, and this channel, and you know what? Before I go to that, let me go to Near Mint. How many? Okay. You know, it's funny because this follows the general rule of thumb that I have for YouTube. If you can find them when they're this young and this early, say 50K subscribers up to like sub-million or whatever. And YouTube channels are always changing to the algorithm or whatever. You're like you said, to do justice to it, you can find great content creators. In that vein, like there isn't too many big YouTubers that I've come across that like where the quality is the same when you jump on the bus with them and you roll with them, and you see them grow. Yours is right on that dot, right there for my rule of thumb for YouTubers that are hungry and young and whatnot. In that vein, I say all that to say, Solid JJ, like this guy, basically what it is like a very short, truncated, memeified version of our favorite comic books, and kind of, but with a humorous kind of take on it. It's just hilarious. It's hilarious. It's I haven't watched enough to say that's for kids. I would say that, screen them before that for the family part of it. But like, like this one, Spider-Man is ableist, kind of like just, it just makes fun of the current culture out there that like where, you have a polka dot on your face and, like it gets, it's funny. But it does with comic books and famous pop culture things. A Solid JJ is the guy's name. I found him this week, and it was just funny. It's just funny. But, I hope they last a long time, but it's funny.
Yeah.
But
I'll check that out, and I think anyone out there should check it out and see if that's your brand of humor. But yeah, it looks pretty interesting and funny.
Some of the humor is sharp. Some of the humor is a little bit sharp. So if you're sensitive to that, maybe avoid or.
Any good humor has a divide as far as who finds it funny and who doesn't. Otherwise,
it's really
just
funny.
Yeah.
It's
kind of bland if you don't have a sharp edge to it.
Yeah, I agree. With that being said, kind of going back into our thing, I think we covered most of it.
Yeah, there's one other thing I'd like to put a tie on things, and then you could put a bow on. The last thing I was going to cover is the Inside Pulse, John Byrne, X-Men, Elsewhen. That one right there, right above. Yeah, that Inside Pulse. Yeah, that one.
Okay.
Okay. So So we have the X-Men, classic X-Men, the penultimate issue where Jean Grey, Marvel Phoenix, she becomes Phoenix, she destroys a planet. Spoiler alert. She the X-Men is judged. Jean Grey is put on trial. Should she die? Should she not? In the comic book, in the regular series, they were going to let Jean Grey live, but without her powers. And Jim Shooter, editor-in-chief, said, no, no, no. She destroyed a whole planet. She should die. And they convinced the creators to go ahead. And they had finished the issue where she does live, but they ended up going ahead and going back and redoing the last few pages and having her die. Now, if you've read comic books in the past 2 decades, you know that they eventually bring her back, like the Phoenix. Jean Grey does come back, but John Byrne was kind of burned, so to speak, on the whole situation. He wished that she had lived. He wanted to tell those stories, and so I forget when this was done, a couple of years back, I think. He decided, just for the hell of it, he couldn't make any money on it, but he wanted to tell some stories. After that issue where Jean Grey was supposed to die, he wanted to do some issues where she lived and what he would have done with it. There's 18 issues. It's 2019 looks like. But yeah, this link, which we'll have in the description down below, is one of the places that you can read it. What I did is go through, and if you click on one of those pages, it brings up big. If you have like a Kindle or of a your phone or whatnot,
that's cool.
You could probably read it better. But yeah, you can go through, and he did it really rough, just the sketches with the word balloons and everything. I've read the first couple of issues. It's actually really, really good. I mean, John Byrne is great. I just recently got his omnibus for his run on Fantastic Four, which I absolutely love. John Byrne's one of my favorite creators. But yeah, it's really cool just for him to do a fan comic book of what he would do with the X-Men, alternate universe kind of metaverse kind of thing. So yeah, if that kind of era of X-Men is kind of your interest, this would be a fantastic read for you. I know reading it this way is kind of rough, but that's sort of the deal here. You're dealing with the fan.
This just makes me want to find that device that has good e-ink, color e-ink display, and I can, fire it up and kind of get some kind of sort of thing. I don't know. I've never seen an e-ink color display in real life, so for all I know, I'm gonna hate it. But shame on me, because I'm probably gonna drop some dime on it at some point in the next year or so. Maybe, probably not. But
yeah, this is called X-Men Elsewhen, and like I said, it's fan fiction, but it's John Byrne, so you're dealing with quality here.
You're good and you're solid. You're solid. Cool. Awesome. Yeah. So with that being said, I think we've anything else you want to cover related to Punisher, Anti-Hero, or whatnot? We kind of took a nosedive there for a minute for the thing, but
yeah.
You know what? But you know what? At the same time, both of us are fully committed to getting more fans involved, and this is the Nerdom. Just because something you may like something, like I'm gonna applaud that. If you like it, great for you. Good for you. And please,
and
let us know about it. Let us know about what you like, what you want to hear, that kind of thing. Because and I'm not even gonna pretend. I might have a little bit more exposure to the sci-fi novel side of the house. Thomas is fully way more in depth on the comic book side, and I love that, and that's why we have this thing. But you know, like whether it's comic book, novel, whatever it is, like that's just the
Yeah.
thing. We got to keep the nerddom spinning.
Yeah.
And we want great, not good. Good is okay. Well, we all want great. We want those great storylines
Yeah.
that float to the top, like the cream
Yeah.
that they are, and find them. You know, so
Yeah. Yeah, and just touch upon that. Yeah, if you find anything I said that was wrong, I'm only human, so yeah, if
right.
I say anything wrong or Mike said anything wrong, point it out in the comments. But definitely, if you're interested in our content, go ahead and subscribe and click the notification because YouTube doesn't always tell you when we have a new video. So, and also,
Yeah.
as a
Go ahead.
special thing, if you put X-Men Elsewhen in our comments, we'll give you a thumbs up.
We will. We will. We will absolutely. Yeah, and you know, if you have commentary, if you jump into the deep end and you say I hate this, I don't like that, I dislike that, or whatever, you know, like don't just say that. Put something else there that somebody else can kind of pick up on, like that is a
Right.
recommendation. You know, like so it's okay to be negative. Like this is the real world, and not
Yeah.
everything's for everybody. That's okay, but
Yeah.
like at least like put something out there that is there.
Yeah. Yeah, and
but,
also, yeah, and also, I've been on this earth quite a few years, and my opinion has changed quite a bit.
Sure.
If you listen to what I said and think I'm wrong or think you put me in a different direction, go ahead and put it in the comments.
Yeah,
We can have a discussion, and I'm always open for new ideas and new things and new concepts. So yeah, just just keep it going here.
Yeah, same thing. Same here. You know, if it's you know, hey, you should check this out, or like you were wrong on this, that's fine. That's good. But hopefully, like as we go forward, we will find and uncover these things. But in any case, thank you so much for your time, Thomas. I appreciate it. I'm glad we took a little bit more time on this. And I'm so
Yeah, it kind
excited
of
for
makes
next week.
up for us missing last week. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we did, and that was my fault. That was totally my fault.
Oh,
But it is what
that's
it is.
fine.
So.
Life is life. Life is life.
Indeed. Well, thank you. Thanks again, and I hope you guys all, you know, take this to heart and join us next week. Thank you.
Yeah. See ya.